Do you know anywhere where I can find the current Drivers' Championship? Because it's not on the PSGL side anymore.
It will be on the PSGL F1 Twitter.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you go have a look at that. But I'm going to be going through the driver standings shortly anyway. Right. Right then, well, here we are then at the home of British Motorsport for the PSGL F1 British Grand Prix. A warm welcome to everybody who is already in the stream. This is round 5 of season 20 for this particular division, and we've had a 2-week break, and wasn't it worth it for that thrilling and exciting Canadian Grand Prix yesterday? But I am here joined by another legend of PSGL F1. Iran was of course my co-commentator early on in the season, so he's doing a great job on Formula Performance commentary duties, but now from one world champion of PSGL F1 to another, a former PSGL champion here, Remco Vengeance, who has won at Silverstone 3 times, so his insight will be most valuable. Remco, welcome to the party, my friend.
Thank you very much, very glad to be here, and hopefully can give some insights on the current action that's going on.
So you were racing in PSGL F1 until very recently, so I don't know how much you've been sort of keeping an eye on the current grid. What are your sort of impressions of the talent on show, the mixture of sort of veterans like Big C and the newcomers like Ashbest and Louisw03, for example?
Yeah, I think, to be honest, I've been quite surprised by the pace of Big C, that he is actually kind of dropping off in a way. But then on the other hand, we have of course Ashbest, who is leading the championship of 30 points, and he's just setting the timing balls alight, truly.
Yeah, he absolutely is. I mean, they say in sport the toughest challenge is not getting to the top of the mountain, but staying there. And Ashbest doing an absolutely stellar job of dealing with the pressure of being the reigning champion. So we have 15 drivers out there. We've got a few absences tonight. So bright sunshine here at Silverstone. Starts off very unpredictable weather here sometimes, but in some ways I'm hoping for a dry race here, because this is one of the most thrilling tracks to watch motor racing, and particularly back in season 18 in the same F1 2017 era, what a classic battle between Cliffy and Ollie it was on that particular occasion. One of the most outstanding races I've ever commentated on live. So Remco, I don't know how much you've been having a look at the practice times, but what sort of pole time do you think we're going to get from these boys tonight?
To be honest, I haven't watched any practice of these guys, so I'm just going to be as much as surprised.
Well, some say we're going to get a few of the drivers are capable of dipping into the 1-minute 26s. So Ashbest, Louisw03, given their sensational qualifying performances when they were on the harder tyre and they locked out the front row last week than the rest, they are certainly two of the favourites for this. But we do have a new driver on the grid. That is this man, Abiodun. I hope that is how you say it. But he has replaced Cliffy at Ferrari, the runner-up of this championship from last season, who sadly departed as he looks to continue his quest to earn a living. But hopefully he will be back in F1 2018, if indeed it is a decent game. We all hope it is, but it is Codemasters, so you never know. But we are here at Silverstone. What a track, so many legendary corners. Everyone knows the names as Abby goes through Luffield at this point in time, then heading on to the old start-finish straight, then heading towards Copse, one of the best corners to get right. Almost flat through qualifying. They'll have to lift slightly, otherwise they'll have to go right. Track limits will be kept an eye on. They will risk penalties, even though the track limits system at this particular track isn't great. There is a risk of penalties from the PSGL stewards if people abuse the track limits at Copse too many times, and also at Stowe as well. So going through Magazine Bay, it's not a full race speed at the moment. So we've got GREENY-LFC and Paudie on the soft compounds at the moment. So would you say, Remco, this is going to be a strategy dominated by the one stop for this particular one, given the huge length of the pit stop here?
Yeah, just like you said, the pit stop is very long. I think it is around 30 seconds, so there's a lot of time you can lose in the pit stops. It's probably going to be either super soft and then the medium, I think, or just people are gonna wait for the soft tire and hold it out until they get fit.
Well, here goes Abby then for his first qualifying run in PSGL F1 in anger. So Remco, if you can take us through the rest of the lap here as a Ferrari driver heads through the first couple of corners into the loop.
Yeah, very tight section here, has to go slowly on the throttle. First DRS zone here. I have no any idea of the corner names since I'm British, so it's like that. But anyway, real smooth here, seems like. Just going around this one. I do know that the next one is Gop, so slightly things seem to be quite alright. I always used to slightly cut this line. Didn't affect my lap time much. Of course, but also these opportunities. Make it very nice. Last year I used to lose it a lot on the back end.
Yeah, there are some in the stream saying you're a little quiet, Remco, so you may want to raise your mic volume just a little bit. As Ashbest sets the early time and into the 26s straight away then on his banker lap at 1:26.97. But we're going to keep an eye on Abby just to see what he does for his first run. Let's see what kind of pace he's got. He has impressed in F2 and F3, some of the lower divisions. So Blizard for 1:27.529 and Abby crosses the line and he goes second straight away, but some way off Ash's pace. Let's have a look. Where is Louisw03? Is he actually... Wait a minute, is he actually on the grid tonight? Oh, it doesn't look like he is. Huh. Oh, that's slightly disappointing. So then, 7 drivers. So Big C, he spoke to me earlier today in the paddock, and he said he hasn't really had much chance to get much running in the Mercedes recently. So he says even though he's won this particular event 5 times, more than any other PSGL F1 driver. Oh, and a big snap of oversteers. It comes out of Lovefield before he heads out onto the old start-finish straight. But yeah, Big C 1:29.848 at the moment, so that is nowhere near the sort of time he needs. I mean, that probably wouldn't even have been quick enough on F1 2016, to be fair. Yeah, sector 2. Someone must have run wide at Maggers and Becker's, I'd imagine. I think that's a McLaren of Ashbest getting out of the way, or is that AMS? No, it is indeed Ashbest who is on his cool down lap at the moment. So Big C is actually down on the previous time. Well, he runs wide. And yeah, he comes back in, so he must have been validated. So it's been a disappointing qualifying session for the 7-time champion so far. But like I said, he just hasn't really had the chance to practice as much as he would like. So he's probably an outsider to win the race today. But you know, CCbrain, you know, what? Abby just got a grid penalty.
0 place grid penalty. Wow, I haven't seen that before.
Wow. So maybe that's a grid penalty for being too good in qualifying. Well, F1 should use that idea in real life. But you could just have a check in the penalties to see if what the actual message is, just to see, because he was really close to the back of the Haas going into the pits, but that would be incredibly harsh if he gets a penalty for that. Barely any contact between the two, unless it was Roman Grosjean, of course, who just moaned on the radio as he always does and got someone a penalty. But that was a very weird incident just then. But CCbrain currently in 2nd place, but no one really close to Ashbest at the moment, nearly half a second. There's several drivers here who could have really challenged him for pole position. Joelianomanu and Greeny, the only 2 haven't set a time yet. So, you know, likes of Lickle, Wocko, I think they're underperforming, some of these drivers at the moment. I think they'll be looking for better on their second run. XJackLacey currently in 4th, Oogie in 5th, the Bahrain Grand Prix winner, of course, the only person who has stopped Ashbest from making a clean sweep of wins this season. So Ashbest is in a really good position, and he's, you know, he has had a pole position this season with his first banker lap, and well, some of these guys are going to have to find an enormous amount of time to deny Ashbest, and Ashbest, as we know, more than capable of going even faster. So yeah, it's slightly disappointing some of the names are missing out there tonight, but hopefully we'll have slightly more next week. But 15 still a fairly healthy grid. So what are your impressions so far of just under 5 minutes of the session to go?
Well, the gap to Ash is only 4:10, so I believe there are still 1 or 2 drivers who could easily improve on their lap time. So hopefully we can see a tight battle for pole position and not just Ash running away with it again.
Well, I'm just looking at the chat, and I don't know if Lewis didn't see the invite in time, but he's in the chat at the moment, and well, the Toro Rosso team clearly didn't do the paperwork because he hasn't ended up on the grid tonight.
Oh, he just joined.
Well, he'll have to start from the back with a default setup, so that's going to be very interesting. And there's not going to be a restart for that because it's way past the limit in terms of the rules. So he got an invite to the new lobby, but must not have seen it in time. So that is very interesting. But we'll have to focus on the job at hand. Everybody in the pits at the moment except for Joelianomanu. So let's see what he's up to in the Renault at the moment. A quick reminder of the Constructors' Championship standings, by the way. McLaren with a 40-point advantage. AMS and Ashbest to the Mercedes pairing of Big C and XJackLacey on 42 points. And then Greeny, CCbrain on 40 points. They had a great start of the season, but it's kind of tailed off for them in Bahrain and Belgium. They're in third place. And then the Sauber team, 36 points, and then Louisw03 and MaxiLucaGT5 on 31 points. But the fact that Lewis is going to be starting on a default setup and MaxiLucaGT5 not here means that the chance of Toro Rosso moving up the Constructors' Championship will be quite remote. Licko and Hellboy, only 2 points. They're in the current wooden spoon position of the Constructors' Championship. And I don't know, in terms of the driver pairings, who do you think, apart from the current Constructors' leaders, are any of these pairings capable of, you know, taking the fight to McLaren rather, for the rest of the season?
Well, I think Mercedes had a good chance with, I think it was XJackLacey and Big C, I think, right?
Yes, that's right.
But yeah, Big C has been underperforming a lot, so it's been really difficult for Mercedes to get a bit of pace. But I expect Williams to be up there, of course. Williams, CCbrain, and Oogie, of course. Yeah,
I mean, in terms of the top 10, it's quite tight between from second to ninth. But the most important position, a significant gap for Ashbest at the moment. He's in the pits at the moment, just waiting. Is he actually going to come out at all? Well, he is coming out now. He's leaving it slightly late, but I think he should be absolutely fine. But he does do this quite a lot. He likes to wait to the very last second to do his lap. Most of the grid now out for their out laps. Let's see where AMS is. He's just about to. He's heading through Club Corner to start his final run. He's 7/10ths down at the moment. His best time is a 1:27.685, which isn't too bad. But it'll be. I think he can go a few tenths faster than that at least. So here we go then. Through the loop he goes. Quite a difficult corner to judge that one. You can easily outbrake yourself and lose a bag of time. And then going up through Abbey and then the hanger straight. God, this track has changed so many times over the years. This is one of the original F1 tracks. We've been racing here since the 1950s. Remco, turn 1 here on the redesigned track, which we've been using in F1 since 2010. It's an interesting one because most turn 1s it's a heavy braking zone, but this one is almost like a flat corner. So the potential for collisions, given the speeds that they'll be going, very high, isn't it?
Yeah, it is flat out, and there is a slight possibility to understeer. Let's see if Abiodun gets it right. You just have to really position your car to make sure you get a good exit towards turn 3, of course.
Yeah, AMS, I think he improved on his previous time, but he's going to go through Stowe now. Oh wow, the tyres were squealing in agony there. He definitely got a bit of oversteer, took a little bit too much speed and that compromised it just a bit. Let's see where he ends up. And Big C puts it onto the front row. Look at that, right behind him. And AMS, he does improve. It did look like a quicker lap, 4/10ths better. Let's see who else is out there. Ashbest is currently going through sector 1 at the moment, but let's see if anyone else is near the end of the lap. Abbey is heading towards Maggots and Beckett's at the moment. Oogie Azeem as well. Oh, and Blizzard has had a huge incident. Where is that? Is that Maggots and Beckett's? Looks, can't tell actually from where he is. No, that's a Stowe. It's a Stowe. That's a very unusual place to have an incident. He must have taken too much speed. AMS has finished his session. XJackLacey on his phone. Abbey then doing his final run of the race. Where is he going to be on his debut F1 qualifying session? And he puts it 4th. So that's a really good effort. Look how much the top 4's closed up. But at the moment, Ashbest, none of them are getting close enough to take pole position away from him. Oogie Z moves up to 5th. And CCbrain just jumps up above the Sauber driver. But it looks like Ashbest may not even have to bother with this lap. He heads to the line. We've still got the 2 liquor blocks, only 11th and Hellboy 12th. So Ashbest, can he go even quicker? He has got pole position. sewn up. How fast can he go? And he goes to the line. It's only slightly quicker, 1:26.854, but it's still good enough for pole position here at Silverstone. It is yet another brilliant qualifying from the reigning F1 champion.
Yeah, very good lap there from Ash, but the thing I like most is that Big C, XJackLacey and Abiodun are all very close to him, so hopefully he won't get away with it this time and they can finally challenge Ash for victory.
Well, JP says that Ash changing his car number to 1 is extremely pretentious. Well, he has had number 1 since the start of the season. But he is the champion, so he does have the right to wear the number 1. So, you know, I would want to see the number 1 on the champion's car. But I'm a traditionalist in that manner. But yeah, the Big C really rolling back the years with that last lap to go on the front row. He does perform here so well in the past. 5 times a winner here. But those 2 Mercedes drivers could give Ashbest something really big to think about as we go into the first lap. We're just waiting for Joel to retire the car really in the pits, because everyone started. Greeny, the only one who didn't set a time. So those outside the top 10, they'll be on a different strategy, but 1 stop will be king here, whatever tyre you start on. If you do a 2 stop here, you're going to be absolutely nowhere. So anyone doing a 2 stop, it's a suicidal strategy for this particular track. Nearly 40 seconds a pit stop, the best part of it anyway. It feels like an eternity when you come out of your blocks for your garage and you're just painfully going along trying to get out of the garage. But yeah, Ashbest impressing once again in qualifying. It is a shame that Lewis didn't get the second invite somehow, because I think he really could have challenged Ashbest for that pole position, but hopefully he'll be able to do something. But with the default setup, it'll be difficult. So then, a 5-second grid drop for Abby for that strange incident, and that is really gutting for him. So he'll be starting 9th as a result. And QPRBeasts as ever, impressive in qualifying. So Ashbest, Big C, XJackLacey, Abby, QPR, CC, Oogie, AMS, Blizard and Wocko make up the top 10. The 2 Force Indias on row 6, and Paudie, Joel and Greeny make up the grid. But don't forget, Lewis will be starting in 16th position when this race goes out. I didn't actually see what the weather's going to be, but I think it's going to be a dry race. I'll have egg on my face if we suddenly see it's pouring with rain.
No, it's dry.
Yeah, absolutely dry. So we're going to... So then, 292 metres to turn 1. It's one of the shorter runs to line. Not quite as short as Canada, but in terms of the Canada, it is one of the short ones. And then they're at 70% full throttle for a lap of this track, so you know, very small rooms for error, some of the speeds they'll be going, and don't be surprised if we see some contact in the midfield, but hopefully not, as we have just under 20 seconds before the start of this race. And well, we really hope this will be much more entertaining than the Canadian Grand Prix yesterday. I mean, I don't think it's even controversial to say Formula E had a more entertaining race yesterday, but this is going to be a good one, as it has been so often in the past in PSGL F1, and we hope you're ready for it. As the countdown finishes, the crowd rise to their feet. 5 red lights.
Here we go.
And the PSGL F1 British Grand Prix is go. And Ashbest makes a decent start, as does Big C. Although there's a slight twitch of a Sauber in the midfield, but Ashbest and XJackLacey getting the better run on Big C, sweeps into 2nd place. Just seeing, yeah, there's a Force India off in the background, I believe. That was, oh, it's Lickle.
Oh, Big
C is having big trouble. What has happened to Big C? Big C is losing place after place. He must have made a mistake at the opening section of corners or made contact with someone. AMS under threat from the Haas of Blizzard. Can Blizzard go for a late lunge down the inside? He certainly attempts it. Gets the braking done. Oh, he tries to force him off. They're going side by side through Luffield. So great action in the midfield already, and XJackLacey only half a second on Ashbest, so Ashbest is going to have to get a move on if he's going to break that DRS, because the DRS is very powerful here, and Blizzard surely not thinking about move into Cox, but no, he thinks better of it, just seeing if there's anything else going down midfield. Oh, and Hellboy runs wide. It's been a terrible start for the Force India team as Wocko moves back up to 10th. And he's losing place after place through. Oh, and my goodness, the Williams of Greeny and Hellboy nearly coming to Cropper. There's no love lost between these 2 drivers, as Joel just sort of thinks, you know, you guys just take each other out so I can gain a few places. But up ahead, Greeny and Lickle Blocks going side by side. Oh, and a late move from Hellboy behind. You just saw that. And Joel just about gets out of the way.
I think he's going to retire.
So Greeny trying to go for a move. We're going to head back to the front. Ashbest leading this race, 26 laps of this particular 50% race. XJackLacey is keeping him honest at the moment. And look at this. Well, he's a former PSGL F1 Grand Prix winner, but QPRBeasts has had a brilliant start. He is up to 3rd position with CCbrain just behind him. We'll see who the winners and losers are. 2 pit stops, and it's Hellboy and Paudie. Are those wing changes, Remco?
Yeah, I for sure saw that the Hellboy had wing damage when he was changing his, but I'm not sure about Paudie.
Yeah, so, well, that's, you know, a lap 1 pit stop for those two. That is highly costly. So let's see who the winners and losers are then. So Lewis on the default setup's gained 6 places, so he's up to 10th already. So that's a brilliant start from him. So we're going to keep on board with Blizard, who's really putting AMS under pressure, although he has to really lift for cops. Luckily there's no other cars behind him. Big C attempting to recover, just seeing he's got any damage. Doesn't look like the Mercedes has any damage, so I think he's okay. So Ashbest has already broken the DRS, but it looks like CC is very, very close to Lewis, but Lewis has the toe of XJackLacey ahead. So, you know, if Ashbest runs away with this, I think we're going to have a titanic battle for the podium from the rest of the grid. So any other drivers sort of struggling with damage down the order, Remco?
I saw that Joel had a bit of damage on his wing, so I expect him to come on.
As DRS is enabled for the first time, and XJackLacey setting the fastest lap of the race. Well, I think Joel may have got damage when Hellboy made that late move on the second DRS zone. Now, CC has a look at the Renault ahead, but doesn't quite get the move done. He's just telling Louis, yeah, I'm here, my friends, and I'm here to take that final podium position as they fly up Aintree, heading towards Luffield. But both have DRS, so CC's going to find it hard to overtake. And indeed, as Remco mentioned, Joel is in the pits, and that is for a wing change. So those 3 drivers, their races are massively compromised. And this is one of the shame when you don't have a safety car, because, you know, time and time again, if you have a terrible lap 1 like that, you just don't have any chance really of getting back into the race, especially with a massive long pit stop at this particular track. So Louis doing a pretty good job in sector 2, edging away from CCbrain. But let's see how, from on board the Williams, how the Renault ahead copes with Maggins and Beckett's. And they both go slightly deep into the second section of it, and will that put the Williams under threat from AMS behind? He's in DRS range as well, but they've all got DRS at the moment, so they can't really... Wocko indeed is under attack from Lewis, and Lewis making his way through the field. We're going to go on board with the other Sauber of Oogie, almost a freeway battle. So Lewis up to 9th position already with no setup, don't forget. Wocko's going to try and come back round the outside and then take him through the Vale and then Club Corner, going side by side. This is only for 9th place, but it's a brilliant battle, and Lewis really aggressive on the outside. And now Oogie will take Wocko as well. The exit of that corner, massive. Oh, and there's a forced India. That's Lickle. Well, Lickle tried a really ambitious move there in the opening corners and probably should have just backed off there. But luckily, no damage for the forced India driver. But yeah, this is a nice little scrap in the midfield. But yeah, Lewis, 7 places gained. So Big C and Oogie, big losers from the start. Oogie lost 4 positions. Big C 5th as he ran wide in the opening set of corners. So let's see if Oogie can close onto the back of Lewis. Now, the good for Lewis, luckily, the wings on the default setup are actually fairly similar to what most of the drivers will be running. So he shouldn't be too compromised in straight line speed. Do you agree with that, Remco?
Yeah, I think the only problem he's going to have is the balance of the car. Like you said, the wings are pretty similar, as we can see. Yeah, the wings are very similar. I think most of them are running 5.6 or 6.6. Yeah, that's what we see now in 10.
Yeah, indeed. So let's run through the order then. Ashbest, XJackLacey, QPRBeasts, CCbrain, AMS, Blizard, Big C, who incidentally is really caught onto the back of Blizard. So it's quite a nice train from 3rd down to about 8th position. So Abby is attempting to recover that, you know, that really unjust grid penalty he got from race control and qualifying. I mean, that is so unlucky. He would have been 4th, and who knows, if he started in 4th, he could be, you know, where the likes of XJackLacey and Louis are right now. And speaking of Louis, he's actually closed into DRS range of XJackLacey, so Ashbest is really running away with this. which I guess isn't too surprising given the form he's been showing of late. So is there going to be any change to position? No. They're also, the DRS is sort of cancelling each other out at the moment, and this is a consequence, of course, of running similar wing setups, not able to really close the gap. Just going to have a quick look. There seems to be a little scrap going on between Hellboy and Joel. I think we saw the end of it, so we'll go back to the front because it's getting feisty at the front at the moment. And well, fair play to Louis. He's catching XJackLacey, and he's also broken the DRS of CCbrain behind, so he's having a fantastic...
Make a mistake.
Yeah, it's a mistake from CCbrain behind him. And Hellboy is out of the race, so he's our first retirement. Let's hope he stays in the lobby. Otherwise, this could be a Canadian Grand Prix in terms of entertainment, but hopefully not. But yeah, that's the first time of the race, and well, Hellboy's had a bit of a shocker really here today. That is that is at the opening section of corners, I think. So the Force India driver out of the race. As Louis gets ever closer to XJackLacey, he's got really good race pace here. Although, having raced with him in the past, he has always gone strong here. So it's not the biggest surprise. Yellow flags then in that particular section. So can Louis close the gap to the Mercedes here? XJackLacey showed good pace in the opening laps. He was keeping up Ashbest, but he's really dropped off. The super softs don't seem to be lasting very well for the Mercedes driver. And Louis showing really good. And he's in fighting for that second place at the moment. And he's just about as close as he has been. And there's a big train behind. So there's a potential for a lot of changes of position at the moment. So let's have a look at the fastest laps just to compare some of the top 10. So yeah, in terms of the fastest laps, interestingly, Louis hasn't actually gone faster, and Greeny leaves the session, so he has called it a day. So that's going to compromise the slipstream. So unless that was a disconnect, he will be getting a 10-second penalty, being the first one. Oh, and now Big C challenging Blizard. I'll see up here. No, he has indeed. That's it. So Blizard under enormous pressure from a man who's won here 5 times. He knows every trick of the book for Silverstone. He's going to try and take it round the outside and then go into the Vale and then club corner, and Big C, he does it in some sort. Although Blizard comes back at him into club corner and retakes the position. He forces Big C off the track, but that was hard and fair racing. I don't think Big C would have any complaints about that. He's done that to a few drivers here over the years.
Myself included, I think.
But meanwhile, Abby right behind these two, so this is a nice little scrap here for 6th position. So Ashbest has a near 4-second advantage. So let's see if Big C then can challenge Blizard going to these corners. Obviously with the lack of slipstream, it's going to be really difficult now for some of these drivers. So it's going to all come down to setup and also judging the braking zones, corners. We might see a few more lunges than we normally would as a result. Better traction from Blizard going onto the old start-finish straight as we head towards Cops. So let's see who does Cops better. Will anyone extend the track? Big C, yeah, they both go slightly wide, but nothing wrong with that. So they go through Maggots and Beggarts. What a thrill to see Formula 1 cars going through these corners in real life. That is definitely a corner I'd love to stand at, but hey, Silverstone's so expensive, I doubt I'll ever get to go. I mean, it's cheaper for me to fly out to Barcelona and watch the Spanish Grand Prix there than it is to get a ticket for this race. It's ridiculous. So, going through Stowe then. And incidentally, Big C pits, as does Abby, so they're looking for the undercut. The undercut is very powerful here. So they're looking to leap up a few places, and I wonder if any of the grid will respond. Lewis is on the soft tyres, so he will be staying out for a good while longer. What strategy he goes on, but this is impressive from Lewis. He's not got a setup he would want to use, and yet he is still in the top 10. So it's damage limitation, although at this point Ashbest is going to have an enormous lead in the championship as it stands, because none of his closest rivals are even in the top 3. So
I think it would be a good choice for QPR to pit as well, so he can undercut XJackLacey in second position.
Yeah, that is something he'll be thinking about. He would have seen people pitting on the map screen, so maybe he will think about that. Let's see what tyres they went on. in terms of, so Big C and Abby went for the soft compound, so they'll be going to the end of the race on those, you would imagine. Although it was bright sunshine at the start of the race, but it does seem to be clouding over and getting a little bit dark. I wonder if we might get some rain later on. We shall see. So Jack Lacey struggling a little bit out of the onto the hangar straight. So now, will any of these drivers pit? Let's see. Watch Jack Lacey. No, neither of them pit. What about CC? CC pits, as does AMS. Blizard carries on, and Lewis, of course, does as well. So, Big C and Abby pitted earlier. AMS and CCbrain were in front of them. So it's going to be very interesting to see how powerful the undercut was for Big C. Let's go on board Big C. He's in the hangar straight at the moment. So it's going to be very interesting how it plays out. Oogie Azeem pits as well, incidentally. He was running in 10th. So where Big C comes out, it's going to be quite close, I think, between him and CC, but I think CC might just, it's a 3-second time penalty for Joel for multiple corner cuts.
Very good.
He does. It's going to be very, very close indeed, but I think CC at least will get in front of Big C. But what about Abby? Abby is right there. Yeah, so Big C, the undercut worked. He has gained a place as a result, so now he's right behind CCbrain. And look at that, AMS and Abby going side by side through the opening section of corners. The Ferrari driver just about holds off the McLaren driver. He's going to have to defend from the DRS zone as well. Going for a late braking, no, he's not able to. Let's go back to Lewis, actually, because he is close right onto Blizard. I think the super softs on the Haas driver are completely shot, and now Lewis is going to go for a move, and somehow he is getting a tow with the DRS despite, you know, the lack of slipstream. And I think Blizard might, no, he's not actually. So Lewis is going to go down for a late lunge down the inside, and Blizard made that incredibly easy for him. He just didn't have any grip left in the tyre, so Lewis is now up to 4th position. Jack Lacey pits them from 2nd position. So I incorrectly said that none of the top 3 in terms of the championship for Ashbest rivals were in the top 3, but Jack Lacey, of course, is currently 2nd in the championship, but it's just mere damage limitation at the moment for him. And Ashbest, you know, with the gap he's got, he's just sort of, you know, carrying on. Surprisingly, QPRBeasts decided not to. Maybe he's looking for the overcut. Maybe hoping Jack Lacey ends up in some bad traffic. But I think, yeah, Jack Lacey comes out on a fairly clear track, so he's okay for the time being. So Ashbest continues to lead this race. He may as well be the distance between London to Glasgow. That's the kind of lead he's got over QPRBeasts at the moment. 2 of the drivers haven't pitted yet. Let's just have a look who hasn't pitted yet. So the whole of the top 5 and Greeny haven't pitted so far. So LittleBlocks is on the medium compound, starting on those, and then Lewis started on the soft. So we have 3 super soft runners still out there, they being Blizzard, QPRBeasts and Ashbest. So big thank you to everyone who's watching so far. I am trying to keep an eye on the chat when I can, but there's actually quite a lot going on. More entertainment in these 10 laps. And Ashbest indeed pits from the lead, and he gets it stopped nicely. Jan QPRBeasts pits as well. So Lewis carries on the soft compound, of course, as he would. So let's see then. Now Lickle could influence this slightly because he is on the mediums. He's going along the race, so he'll be a tricky customer to pass, and you know, he always defends aggressively. So Ashbest will be hoping not to come out behind LittleBlocks because he might find it a bit of a challenge to get past him. Blizzard pits as well, so Lickle has indeed gone by. Is anyone else going to Jack Lacey get a big undercut? Well, he was fairly far behind Ashbest, so that was always going to be unlikely. So Ashbest comes out on a nice clear track in 3rd position. But Jack Lacey might be vulnerable. Oh, sorry, QPRBeasts might be vulnerable from the likes of Big C. It's going to be close. And oh, yes, indeed. He's lost 2 positions. He's lost CCbrain, Big C. So the undercut really working for them. QPR, of course, will have much fresher soft tyres at the end of the race, assuming they don't have to pit again. But yeah, that hasn't worked. That has not worked for Louis at all. So Greeny and Joel battling for 14 for the moment, but we're just going to focus on this because Big C closing in onto the back of CCbrain. Now, keeping an eye on the timing screen, see how quickly Ashbest catches up to Lickle. because Lickle's not going to be pitting anytime soon. And Lewis, well, he'll probably be going a while yet himself, because, you know, the tyre wear here isn't too bad. So, you know, it's an easy one-stop really, whatever strategy you use, as long as you don't, you know, go off the track every 2 seconds. So Blizard, he stayed out too long as well. He has dropped all the way down to 11th place. I mean, that just shows you how powerful the undercut here is here, Remco.
Yeah, that's why I said to QPR that he had to pit earlier, but he allowed xJackLacey to pit first, and that's why he lost so many positions.
Yeah, well, you know, you were totally spot on when you said that earlier, and I was thinking the same. So Blizzard's going to have to do it all over again. You know, Blizzard's shown good speed in his early F1 races, but he just hasn't had the luck. But I think on this occasion, he definitely got the strategy wrong. He stayed out a few laps too long, and it's really paid the price. Getting past Oogie Azeem, that's not going to be easy, especially with the lack of slipstream. So Big C continues to be held up somewhat by the Williams and CCbrain ahead. So actually, I was just thinking about, yeah, AMS currently in 9th, so he's sort of in the middle. You know, there's really furious scraps going on, gaps between the top 3, but you know, there's still quite a lot to go, and Ashbest is cutting into Lickle's advantage by quite a bit. It took 1.2 seconds out of him on the previous lap. So we're about a half distance then of the PSGL F1 British Grand Prix, and we've seen some decent action so far. It hasn't been a schnorfest whatsoever, and I think it is starting to bubble up a little bit. Some of these drivers might start to get a little bit more desperate as time goes on for those points. And I tell you what, QPR got a brilliant exit out of Cops, and now he's right on the back of Big C. He's got fresher softs, of course, and Big C's being stuck in the dirty air of that Williams ahead. And now he could actually challenge the 7-time champion for a move as they head up to Stowe. Right behind him, Big C switches to the left, not quite close enough for QPRBeasts to make a move there, so maybe he'll think about a move into the Vale, a late braking manoeuvre. He had half a look of the tyres from Big C ahead. So Big C struggling with rear grip just a little bit, but as I say, that lack of practice that he mentioned may be hurting him a little bit at this point, because QPR is showing really good speed at the moment, and his chances of being on the podium are certainly not over yet, because don't forget, Lickle and Lewis, who is currently leading the race. Oh, down the inside goes Lewis. Oh, and there's nearly contact between the Renault and the Mercedes, with Big C getting better traction out of the loop and then onto Aintree as we head towards Luffield. DRS opens, but both activating both of them, and meanwhile behind, looks like Oogie Azeem is looking to make a move on AMS. Just want to have a look at those two actually. AMS just about holds off. Oh, and actually Oogie Azeem must have made a mistake somewhere, because he's just dropped behind Blizzard, so I don't know if there was contact between those two, because yeah, look, he's dropped like 2.7 seconds behind Blizzard as Blizzard runs wide at Cops. He won't be able to do that too many times, because if he is spotted by some of the other drivers doing it repeatedly, he will get a penalty after this race. Because, you know, PSGL was warned about, you know, extending those track limits. Hopefully that's sorted out in the next game, because it is ridiculous how people do it and don't get any warnings. It's, you know, it's such an obvious place to track extend, and yet there's other tracks where you literally put a little finger on outside the, you get like a 10-second penalty or something.
Yeah, they really need to take a look at it. It's really frustrating, not just for us, the viewers, but also for the drivers themselves. They have to keep within track limits, of course, but even, like you said, the smallest margin might even end up in a penalty.
Absolutely. So Abby running in a very solid 8th position. I think if he gets points on his debut, he'll be very satisfied with that. Replacing Cliffy, of course, it's you know, fairly significant shoes to fill. One of the stars of season 19, of course. He's, you know, he's having a very solid run so far. If only he didn't have that grid penalty, it could have made a big difference to him. So QPR looking for a move on Big C, who locks the tyres ahead, and he's been. And yeah, side by side through Luffield. Briefly, AMS and Blizzard is keeping an eye on the battle between Big C and QPRBeasts, former teammates. Oh, wait a minute. Spots of rain. We have rain here at Silverstone. It is about to spice up here, ladies and gentlemen. Wow, well that wasn't, I don't believe that was forecast, but British weather, eh? This is the summer we usually get, and some of these drivers are going to be really struggling. And I tell you what, those in the top 2 may have just played a tactical blinder, especially Lewis, who is, don't forget, he's on the default setup. We know his wet weather pace isn't very good, but he could have a huge advantage as long as he can keep those softs going for a few more laps for the transition. You know, if the transition doesn't come, as we have seen in a few races weirdly recently, so Ashbest, he's going to have to get a move on and get past Lickle as quickly as he can. And that is Greeny, I believe. Yeah. Oh yeah, he left the session, of course. I forgot about that. I was just wondering, wow, he's being lapped already. That would have been ridiculous. So, those who were on the super softs, the rain has come a bit earlier than they expected, and they're in sort of no man's land at the moment. So the top two, starting outside the top 10, it does happen sometimes. If you just stay out there and don't pit, the rain comes and it's your saviour.
It comes with it again on AMS.
Yeah, well, we'll have a quick look at those, but God, the grip is going to be dropping all the time. The transition period although on these particular tyres, the soft tyres are actually a bit grippier, they don't have to have quite as much temperature to work, so it shouldn't be too bad for some of the experienced drivers out there. But, you know, I think we will see, you know, some gains and losses here during this transition in terms of time. Ashbest is close right onto the back of Lickle, so we'll have to have a look at that shortly. Let's just see how they cope through Maggers and Beckett's, and they admirably cope very nicely to AMS and Blizzard. Oogie's dropped to 11 and isn't really able to catch up. He must have made contact somewhere with AMS because they were right beside each other for a few moments. Big C, he will not be enjoying the rain whatsoever. It's always been a slight weakness of his at times, especially in the F1 2017 era. So, you know, this could be Lewis's chance to make the move and get past. But let's have a look at Ashbest, because he is closed onto the back now of Lickle Blocks, who's been on those mediums for 16 laps, whereas Ashbest has only been on these soft tyres for you know, far less than that, probably not even 1/3 of the laps that Lickle's done on his mediums. So he's got a big tyre advantage. So the rain, it's not exactly falling hard, so this transition may be a bit longer. You know, the DRS is still enabled, but yeah, it's so treacherous out there. But, you know, if Lickle holds up Ashbest for a few laps, it's going to play into Lewis's hands. Let's just have a quick look at Blizzard, because again, he's fighting furiously, and this time he gets the move done. Can AMS come back at him? There's no gap for him through Lovefield, so Blizzard up to 9th place, so a very nicely executed move. We're going to go straight back to Ashbest as they go through Maggots and Beckett's, and then flying out to the second DRS zone, and he opens the wing. And now, can the reigning champion get past Lickle? Lickle hasn't gone defensive yet. He's left the door open down the inside, but Ashbest not confident to make a move. Lickle is a very, you know, can be a very sketchy defender, so it's not always wise to do a lunge on him, because he might, you know, bite you. But I think Ashbest is going to just try and force Lickle into say, oh, he runs onto the curb, and he really risks an incident just then. So it's not going to be flat through turn 1 anymore. Massive lift from Ashbest, doubly so because of the wake of the car in front of him as they go through the opening section of corners. This is a critical moment for Ashbest's race. If he makes any sort of mistake and, you know, chips off a bit of wing, then, well, that will hand the victory once again to Lewis, who won this particular race last season, in season 19, and in different circumstances, it has to be said. So Lickle Blocks, well, last season he was involved in a bit of controversy as a backmarker, but this time he is fighting for a podium position, and this could be actually really crucial for his race. So what do you think of the strategy that the top two have pulled off here, seemingly, assuming the rain really does come down, because it's still, you know, not hard enough for them to pit?
I think it's absolutely brilliant what Louis has done. He's around 13 seconds ahead of Lickle. Lickle is holding up Ashbest right now, and right now Louis just all has to wait for the rain to drop harder, and hopefully he'll be able to switch to intermediates without stopping to the other car.
Yeah, but it's lap 17 now. But anyway, Ashbest is now looking for a move, and he's in firing range this time. He puts it down the inside at Stowe. Where is Lickle? He's to the left. They go side by side heading into the Vale. Who's going to be better on the brakes here? Ashbest should have the advantage with the better grip of the softs, and he gets the move done very nicely indeed. You know, he had all the advantages with the tyres, but we've seen his wet weather prowess many times in the past. Belgium was a masterclass when the rain fell, and by the time it dried out again, no one was anywhere near him. Now he's got to give chase to Lewis and, you know, just put him under a bit of pressure, maybe set some fast laps just to give Lewis something to think about, because he's been on those soft tyres 18 laps now, so it's getting to the point, if it doesn't rain hard soon, Lewis may get a puncture. So, you know, he'll be crossing his fingers that it rains and rains and rains. He'll be doing multiple rain dances in the cockpit to get this rain to fall. I have to say, it is starting to rain a little bit more. Seems to be a bit of oversteer from the cars as they go through Luffield, but I don't think it still isn't. It's definitely not time for inters yet. There's no, you can see there's no spray coming off the car, and that's always a good telltale sign. Actually, a little bit now from the back of XJackLacey's car, but again, it's still not hard enough. This is a very intriguing situation. And, you know, for Lewis, if it doesn't rain hard enough soon, and his tyres just die, then, you know, Ashbest will be handed the victory. But let's have a quick look down the order, just to see how they are coping with the conditions here. Big C actually doing a decent job on the softs right now. He's actually broken slightly away from Lewis, still in DRS range, but nowhere near as close as he was earlier on. But any sign, Remco, that it's falling, the rain is falling hard? Doesn't look like it to me.
No, it just looks like drizzle to me, so it's not really good news for Louis, because Ash is gaining up him.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. As soon as he's passed Lickle, I think he's already taken a second out of him, and, you know, he's gaining time all the time. And, well, Ashbest, we know, is so quick in the rain, but, you know, the rain's got to get a move on for him, because he has to pit at some point. You have to, because it's still, DRS is still enabled, which means you still have to use one of the dry combats. Wocko pits then. What is Wocko going for? The Sauber driver pulling into the pits. Is he putting on some inters, or is it another set of dry tyres?
Basically, that's not
Wocko pits. Inters. Wow, this is a gamble for Wocko. If he pays off, though, he will gain a few positions out of that, but he's dropped to 13th as a result. But I'm not convinced it's time for the inters yet. There's a little bit of spray coming off the back of XJackLacey's car, but it's not exactly bucketing down. There's still plenty of dry line out there. Lap 19 now.
Big C's gone wide.
Big C has indeed gone wide, and that's cost him half a second. But luckily, if Lewis had been as close as he was early, he would have taken the place, but he wasn't, unfortunately, for the Renault driver. Well, earlier on, Louis was in the fight for a podium, but because of the way this rain's played out, he may not get it, but it may come back to him yet if some of the drivers ahead have to stop, because don't forget, Lickle and Lewis haven't stopped, and they have to pit once if it's in dry conditions, and even though it's raining, technically it's still dry conditions. Well, Big C pits then, so you can see a bit of spray on the tyres, so he is surely making the gamble for the inter tyres. Just having a look at Wocko's times, he's slightly gaining on Paudie, but not a massive amount, has to be said. In fact, he's just lost a second in a sector as it updated, so I don't think it's, I'm going to have a quick look at Wocko just to see how he's coping with Magnus Vegas. He's having to slow down massively. I don't think it's time, at least not for Wocko. Big C goes on the inters. He's got nothing to lose either, I suppose, because he wasn't exactly in the fight for a podium. So he comes out. Well, we'll find out soon enough if that's paid off, but for Wocko at least, I don't think it's paid off. He's lost nearly 2 seconds in a sector to Paudie ahead. Oogie Azeem pits onto the inters as well, so they all think it's ready. But again, you look at the back of, there's a bit, now I have to say there is a bit more spray coming off the Renault now of QPRBeasts, so maybe we are just getting to that time now. But this is the man.
I'm curious if Louis is going for the dry tyres or for the inters. Same for Lickle.
Well, this is Lewis. He couldn't get into qualifying. On he pits now, so I think he's got nothing left in the soft tyre. So this is the moment, really. Will Ashbest stay out? No, he pits as well.
Oh,
It's Joel. Well, Joel gets. So Ashbest pits as well. So he thinks it's ready for the wet, or is it?
Lickle stayed out for some reason.
Lickle stayed out, so I think Lickle's going to gamble and see how the inters. Well, he's got nothing to lose really, so he's going to stay out and see if it stays sort of, you know, semi-dry just for one more lap, because if it does, he's going to gain an enormous amount of time. XJackLacey's done exactly the same thing. So we're going to see Lewis and Ashbest coming out 3-second time penalty, but the DRS has not been disabled yet. So we've got to keep an eye. You keep an eye on Lewis and Ashbest, see how they go, see what the grip's like. But at the moment, it is right in the balance in terms of the strategy. The rain is still not really pouring down, but we're right on the knife edge.
With Ashbest right now, or with AMS, sorry.
Yeah, he is indeed. The McLaren teammate doing a big favour for Ashbest, holding up Lewis for a few moments. But I mean, look at the traction that AMS has in comparison. Let's just see the braking for Lewis. Oh no, it's he's really struggling the rear of the car. I think Ashbest is, I don't know, is he? No, look how slowly it's painful to watch as he goes through Luffield. I think those on the dries may have played a blinder here, but don't forget Lickle has to pit because he hasn't pitted. So if we never get the DRS disabled, rather, he technically is still a dry racer. He will have to use 2 different compounds, so he can keep going and wait maybe to the last lap to put a set of tyres on. But XJackLacey though may end the argument for Lickle anyway, because he is rapidly closing up on Lickle blocks, but the rain will just not come. So we're on for a absolutely incredible result.
Abiodun just pitted. Sorry, Ben.
Sorry, what was that?
Abiodun just pitted.
Yeah, Abi pitted. Indeed, you are correct. So the Ferrari driver having an impressive run, but Lewis has dropped to 1.5 seconds behind. So yeah, it's really not working. But I guess you could say it's not bad enough that it's, you know, making it massively slow. But there's not a lot of difference between dry and inters right now. Not enough to justify going on the inters. Abi is going on it now, but this is yet again, as I saw in another PSGL Belgium race in F4, an extremely slow transition. It's like it's set on 100% or something. Is this another glitch we've unlocked? That would not be very surprising, to be honest with you. But XJackLacey now, well, he's actually dropped a bit of time to Licklebox, so maybe finally the rain is beginning to sort of bear its teeth into the dry runners. But I'm just trying to figure out the gaps here. I think Lewis, I think if all the dry runners have to pit again, I think he will just take the lead of this race. Because it's, you know, it's a massive time loss. Let's have a look at the gaps actually. Yeah, look at that. So it's a 20-second gap. He is, and I think the inters are just about turning, so I think Lickle may have to think about pitting right now. No, he stays out. Well, I assume he knows the tyre rules, because if he stays out on those mediums and we don't get DRS disabled, then now if we... Well, will he just stay out? will Lickle just stay out to the end of the race and not bother pitting? I mean, for some of these drivers it's not really going to be worth, but they're going to be so slow. AMS pits, Blizzard pits as well. Oh, AMS gets a 5-second penalty, which will be added on to the end of the race. Oh, desperately bad luck for him. So Lewis now, I mean, will the top 3 just stay out now and just try and get to the end? There's 4 laps to go, so we're going to have inter-runners hunting down those wounded dry running. This is incredible how it's turned out here. It's kind of, there was a race in PSGL F1 quite a few seasons ago at Singapore, which Iran, if he's watching, will remember. Very similar circumstances. So we will see. Lickle is 3.5 seconds. The medium tyres require less temperature, so if the rain stays like this, he may be able to just about eke out to the end of the race. But if he can do one stint on one set of medium tyres, I mean, who would have thought it? I mean, it would be the drive of his career if he pulls this off, because now that the DRS is disabled, he is not required to use another set of tyres. I believe
really is coming in pit now, because Louis is gaining a lot of time on CCbrain right now.
But I'm not sure on the ruling in terms of if you're on the dries when it starts to rain, whether you still have to use 2 compounds. Well, we're about to find out. We'll see a disqualification at the end of the race basically if happens, and Joel gets another penalty. Oh, and a big slide from Lickle. Oh, and I think the rain is too much. He's going to pit. XJackLacey is as well. So based on the timings, they couldn't get.
CCbrain lost it.
He has lost it, and a 5-second penalty for XJackLacey. So Lewis is going to take the lead of this race. Where is Ashbest? He's 6.8 seconds behind, and they're all getting 5-second penalties. What on earth are they doing? They are throwing away great points positions here. But you know, great effort from Liquorblocks to go that far into the race on a single set of mediums. So fabulous effort from the Force India driver, given that he was well down the order early on. But now Lewis will take the lead of the British Grand Prix. Ashbest is second. I don't know where Lick will end up. Where is... Well, Abby is just going through the final corner. Will he come out? No, Liquorblocks comes out in third position. XJackLacey fourth. CCbrain may get taken by Abby, but Abby's under enormous pressure from Blizard behind. We're going to stick with this battle actually, because it may become a freeway as another car comes out onto the track. Yeah, there's CCbrain. That mistake at Stowe has cost him big time. It's cost him 2 places. AMS flying behind the Williams, just behind. So let's just keep an eye on this battle then, because this is the closest battle on track. So Lewis, on a default setup, starting outside the top 10, has pulled off a strategy blinder. As has Lickle, to be fair, because he's on for a podium. Unbelievable stuff.
Louis has done an absolutely fantastic job. He had a slight bit of luck with the rain, of course, but just like Lickle, he waited it out on the alternative strategy, so he's done very well today. Thoroughly deserved.
Yes, well, Lewis won here last season, but his wet weather pace compared to Ash was, you know, non-existent at Belgium. So he's got to just hang on for 3 laps. But look at this, Abby now under pressure from Blizzard. He's on for top 5 position. Ashley, can you just find out for me? Did Blizzard get a... Oh, Wocko is out of the race. What's happened to Wocko? Has he crashed at Cops? I think he has. Oh, he's called it a day. Okay, fair enough. Let's go back to Blizzard. Now, could you just find out for me if Blizzard got a stop-go penalty? I think he did in the last pit stop. Down the inside goes the Haas driver. Oh, they're touching side by side through Stowe, and then into the Vale they go. This race has really got dramatic in the closing laps, hasn't it? And Abby defends brilliantly, has to be said. I thought Blizzard had one hand on that 5th place, but Abby doing a stellar job for Ferrari.
Now XJackLacey and CCbrain have stopped.
Okay, so this is 4th position then. So CCbrain he's right there though, but he's out of the equation really, unless he can get 5 seconds. Down the inside goes Blizzard then, and now CCbrain trying to position his car. I'm going to turn off the HUD so we can get a great view of this little battle. AMS right behind him. I'm going to turn it back on because we can now see it all clearly. But look at that, Abby runs wide, and that's going to leave him really vulnerable to Blizzard. Blizzard should get the move done down the inside, and will CCbrain follow through? I think he's going to try it. Oh, it's a clumsy move, but I think it's going to work. Yes, he gets past Abby, but it was you know, it was a lunge for sure. Last of the late breakers there, but I think, you know, Abby left the door wide open, so it was an open invite for CCbrain to make a move. And now they're heading down into Stowe. The gap is 7 seconds on the penultimate lap between the top 2. XJackLacey is right on the back of Lickle, but XJackLacey has a 5-second penalty, don't forget. I'm going to have a look at that battle shortly. And wait, what's going on up ahead? Oh, it's a ghost car. I was thinking someone got a problem. So Abby is down to 7. Let's have a look at XJackLacey quickly, because he is right on the back of Lickle. And that is a Red Bull up ahead. I believe that is Joelianomanu. So he's about to be lapped by this pairing. So it's kind of a role reversal. Lickle was in a car last season holding up people, although, you know, he's had a brilliant race today.
It's really raining heavy now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's almost... Yeah, XJackLacey nudging Lickle, but Lickle will have the inside for turn 3. But the switch back for XJackLacey, brilliant braking from XJackLacey, and he gets it now. Can he get 5 seconds on Lickle before the end of the race to take this final podium? I think it's going to be a really, really tall order for him. Just a reminder, there's no podium interviews tonight, but they will be back next week. But this has been turned into a thrilling race. It was kind of quiet in the middle of it, but when this rain came, it's really spiced things up, and it's got us an unexpected result at this point. So yeah, it looks like Lickle. So it's the final lap of the race then. Lewis is heading through Magnus and Beckers for the last time. We get the helicopter view. We'll just make sure he gets through safely. We will switch back to him shortly. Let's go back to Abby. Is he able to get any closer to the battle in front? What about Lickle? Can he get back to XJackLacey? Is he going Magnus? No, I think the fight, on track at least, for the top 3 is over. So let's have a look then at Lewis. He couldn't qualify. The car was not ready. Ferrari had their heads in their hands, but on the default setup, Lewis, just like he did in season 19, is going to win the British Grand Prix in tremendous style. Absolutely sensational strategy from Ferrari. Ashbest, the championship leader, still a great result for him. He will extend his championship lead, I do believe, with second place. And XJackLacey will finish third, currently in second, but I think he will lose that place because of penalties after the race. We'll see when it's confirmed. Yeah, but the 5 seconds is only added on after the race, I believe. So Blizard will finish 5th. That's a brilliant result for him. CCbrain actually jumps above him. And Abby in 6th place, a great debut, and a really good result for them today. Now don't forget, Lewis of course doesn't drive a Ferrari, so he was their rent-a-day driver. So Ferrari won't get those constructors points of course, but they'll be pleased. The Italian national anthem will be played on the podium, so they'll be very pleased with that. So QPRBeasts, what a disappointing race in the end. He was really in the fight for a podium early on. Let's go on board with Lewis. So he goes through Cops on his cool-down lap. Well, that is one of the best drives of his PSGL career. He is a race winner once again. Ashbest puts his thumbs up as he goes by to the pits, showing his appreciation. Because even Ashbest, the reigning champion, will have to doff his hat to Lewis for that performance today. So here is our podium in that famous red suit, as Crofty says every time a Ferrari wins in this game. Lifts the trophy. Ashbest congratulates him, and XJackLacey for now on the podium. We shall see from the final results if indeed that is the case. But well, Lewis, has he today ignited maybe a title bid to challenge Ashbest, Remco?
I sure hope so. He's certainly done a fantastic job today, but unfortunately for Louis, he is still more than 30 points behind Ashbest right now. So still a lot of seasons, a lot of races to go in this season. So hopefully you can close the gap a bit and maybe challenge Ash for the title. That would be great.
So here's your result for the PSGL F1 British Grand Prix. Lewis takes the victory then from Ashbest. XJackLacey has 10 seconds penalty, so I don't know if that result will be amended, but for the time being he is in third place. Liquor Blocks, a great race from him, outside the top 10. As Lewis did, great strategy. 4th place, CCbrain in 5th. Abby on his F1 debut with a brilliant 6th place. Blizard in 7th. Good points for the Haas team. But more points for McLaren and AMS in 9th. QPRBeasts and Big C, former Constructors champions, could only do 9th and 10th position. Disappointing races for those two. Oogie Azeem in 11th. It just didn't work out for him because of the strategy. Paudie and Joel in 13th. And then we had 2 retirements of Wocko and Hellboy. And then finishing in 14th was Greeny, although he had already left the session. So that was a really good race, Remco. So what are your thoughts going forward as we head through the next few rounds of the season?
Well, I'm afraid to say, well, first of all, this race was really entertaining, but I think the bad thing about this season is that Ashbest has been so dominant that the championship battle is a bit boring now, because once again he has extended his championship lead over XJackLacey. And yeah, of course Louis has gained 4 points on him, but he's still 34 points behind Ash in the championship. So hopefully maybe Ash in the next couple of races will not finish, so maybe we can get a bit more excitement in the championship. That would be great. Well,
those are, I could not agree more with what you just said there, Remco. So first of all, I just want to thank you for coming in. I really hope we can build this partnership. It's a good thing, and I think we'll see some great racing to come.
I hope so too. It's been a pleasure.
Right, well, on that note, we will head across the English Channel and then head to the Iberian Peninsula for the Spanish Grand Prix next week at the same time, and we will see you then. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.